Here we have not tried to glorify or agree with all the points mentioned in the document. The following video series is a factual translation of Chanakya Niti. Many of his Niti are still relevant to our time, but many of his Niti does not imply as righteous from moral ground and living perspective, but it will definitely help you all to understand the people mindset and how the powerful man had implied such discriminating teaching as life lesson.
Chanakya Niti, chapter 12. He is blessed in whose house there is blissful atmosphere, whose sons are talented, whose wife speaks sweetly, whose wealth is enough to satisfy his desire, who finds pleasure in the company of his wife, whose servants are obedient, in whose house hospitality is sown, the auspicious supreme God is worshipped daily, delicious food and drinks is taken, and who finds joy in the company of devotees. What is given to a good Brahman is got back not in equal quantity, but in an infinite high degree. Those men are happy in this world, who are generous towards their relatives, kind to strangers, indifferent to the wicked, loving to the good, frank with the learned, courageous with enemies, humble with elders, and strict with the wife. O jackal, leave aside the body of that man at once, whose hands have never given in charity, whose ears have not heard the voice of learning, whose eyes have not beheld a pure devotee to the Lord, whose feet have never traversed to holy places, whose belly is filled with things obtained by crooked practices, and whose head is held high in vanity. Do not eat it, O jackal, otherwise you will become polluted. Same upon those who have no devotion to Sri Krishna, whose ears are not eager to listen to the stories of Lord's Leela. What fault of spring that the bamboo shoot has no leaves? What fault of the sun if the owl cannot see during the daytime? Is it the fault of the clouds if no raindrops fall into the mouth of the bird? Who can erase what Brahma had inscribed upon our foreheads at the time of the birth? A wicked man may develop sanity qualities in the company of devotee, but a devotee does not become impious in the company of a wicked person. The earth is scented by a flower that falls upon it, but the flower does not contact the odor of the earth. One indeed becomes blessed by a devotee, for the devotee has the ability to purify immediately, whereas the sacred tirtha gives purity only after prolonged contact. A stranger asks a Brahman, "Tell me, who is great in this city?" The Brahman replied, "The cluster of palmyra tree is great." Then the traveler asks, "Who is the most charitable person?" The Brahman answered, "The washerman who takes the clothes in the morning and gives them back in the evening is the most charitable." He then asked, "Who is the ablest man?" The Brahman answered, "Everyone is expert in robbing others of their wives and wealth." The man then asked the Brahman, "How do you manage to live in such a city?" The Brahman replied, "As a worm survives while even in a fleety place, so do I survive here." The house in which the lotus feet of Brahman are not washed, in which Vedic mantras are not loudly recited, and in which the holy rites are not performed is like a crematorium. It is said that a sadhu, when asked about his family, replied thusly, "Truth is my mother, and my father is spiritual knowledge. Righteous conduct is my brother, and mercy is my friend. Inner peace is my wife, and forgiveness is my son. These six are my relatives. Our body are perishable. Wealth is not all permanent, and death is always nearby. Therefore, we must immediately engage in acts of merit." Arjuna says to Krishna, "Brahmins find joy in going to feast. Cow find joy in eating their tender grass. Wives find joy in the company of their husband, and know, O Krishna, that in the same way I rejoice in battle. He who regards another's wife as his mother, the wealth as a lump of mud, and the pleasure and pain of all living beings as his own, truly sees things in the right perspective, and he is true Pandit. The great Swiss Vaishtamuni, the spiritual preceptor of the dynasty of the sun, said this to Lord Ramchandra at the time of his proposed coronation. O Raghava, the love of virtue, pleasing speech, and an ardent desire for performing acts of charity, guileless dealing with friends, humility in the Guru's presence, deep tranquility of mind, pure conduct, discernment of virtues, realized knowledge of the Shastras, beauty of form and devotion to God are all found in you. The desire tree is wood. The golden Mount Meru is motionless. The west-falling gem Chintamani is just a stone. The sun is crouching. The moon is prone to wane. The boundless ocean is saline. The demigod of lust lost his body due to Shiva's wrath. Bali Maharaja, the son of Diti, was born into a clan of demons, and Kamdenu, the cow of heaven, is mere beast. O Lord of the Raghu dynasty, I cannot compare you to any one of those. Realize learning or vidya is our friend while traveling. The wife is a friend at home. Medicine is the friend of a sick man, and meritorious deeds are the friends at death. Courtesy should be learned from prince. The art of conversation from pandits. Lying should be learned from gamblers, and deceitful ways should be learned from a woman. The unthinking spender, the man who neglects his wife and is heedless in his action, will soon come to ruination. The wise man should not be anxious about his food. He should be anxious to be engaged only in dharma. The food of each man is created for him at his birth. He who is not shy in the acquisition of wealth, grain and knowledge, and in taking his meals, will be happy. As centesimal dropping will fill a pot, so also our knowledge, virtue, and wealth will be gradually obtained. The man who remains a fool even in advanced age is really a fool. Just as the Indra Varuna fruit does not become sweet no matter how ripe it might become.